It's Safer Internet Day. How to protect you and your family. Welcome to another Techstination interview. Joining us is Google security expert Grace Hoyt. Good to see you, Grace.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, tell us first of all. I don't think Hallmark came up with this one, but what is Safer Internet Day?
Safer Internet Day. Here at Google, we love Safer Internet Day because it is such a good reminder to take steps to protect ourselves online. This year, it feels especially timely with the new variant and folks still in either like hybrid at home situations or more reliant on being online than ever. We really wanted to use this day as a chance to remind folks that simple tools, simple tips to stay safe online.
Well, let's talk about some of them. First of all, give us an idea what some of the biggest issues are today for folks who are working from home in the hybrid situations, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple of things. First, we really care about making sure folks know how to secure their accounts. We want folks to control their data and we want folks to browse safely. So, for securing your accounts, we're noticing that folks are just creating more and more online accounts. I think it's the average person created 15 new accounts during the COVID pandemic. But with that comes some accounts that you may not actually use that often. And we're noticing that that's an attack vector for some of these bad actors to try to take advantage of an inactive account. So one tool we created for folks, like if you're like me, maybe you did one shopping transaction, you set up an account and then never used it again, and it's just kind of sitting there. We created something called the inactive account manager that you can actually use that to delete the data off of those accounts that are kind of not being used on a regular basis. And then for the accounts that you're using more regularly, we recommend Google's privacy and security checkup. That's a tool that you can go to in your Google account and just take a few easy clicks to get some personalized recommendations. So maybe there's an account that your password might have been compromised by a data breach. Google takes care of all of that and says, hey, you should update this password. So it gives really simple guidance like that. And then lastly, we encourage folks to use two-step verification. Two-step verification, for folks who don't know, is a second layer of authentication whenever you're signing in online with your account. So in that case, it could look like your phone number or your backup email address. But this means that even if your password gets compromised in something like a data breach, we hear about those in the news all the time, you actually have that second way of verifying that you are you, and those bad actors can't actually use that password to get into your accounts.
And for some people who might think of that two-step verification is cumbersome, it's an extra step, and I'm in a hurry, it's worth the time.
Absolutely.
And what about when the people are creating all of these accounts? Sometimes it's the one shopping site and they create an account or a streaming service that they're not going to be using long term. Any advice for that? Because very often I think people might just forget they have those accounts.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's why the Google Inactive Account Manager is so helpful, as well as the privacy and security checkup, because that's where you can go in and actually see all of those kind of accounts that you created one time. And for me, I'll go in there and every time I'm reminded of, a one-off account I created for one transaction. And I'm like, oh, great. It's all there for me to see. And then I can decide, hey, I actually think I want to shut down this account, or maybe I'll keep it, but I can restrict the data on that account using the Google Active Account Manager.
You also help people with passwords. Tell me how Google assists with that.
Yeah, so gone are the days of having to write down all of your passwords somewhere. We also don't want folks to use the same password for everything. I know that it's tempting, but that is not very secure. We recommend that everyone uses a password manager. So Google has this nifty password manager tool that you can store all your passwords in one place with one click, and it also helps you generate new strong passwords. So you don't have to worry about coming up with that yourself. Google does the work for you.
And that's going to carry over whether I'm on my office PC, if I'm signed on to Google, or at home, or on a mobile device.
Yeah, your account kind of goes with you everywhere. So you can use it on Chrome, on your phone, on your desktop. Really works across any device that you're using.
And why is it that my Google account would be more secure than all of these others? So, since
Yeah,
I still have to sign in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, First of all, that's why we encourage everyone use two-step verification. That way, no account that you're logging into, you only have your password. You always have that second layer of protection. But at Google, we have teams working to wipe out entire classes of threats. So, during the pandemic, we were blocking 18 million COVID-related phishing attempts per day, for example. So that's really something that on the Google side, we're looking at those attacks and we're providing you with the best security. So we really want you to use that Google account so that you don't have to worry about that. So you can just get back to doing what you're trying to do your job, do your school, do your work and things like do your shopping, do your things online that you really care about, and we'll take care of the rest.
And the biggest things that we should convey to our kids in terms of
Yeah,
safety?
yeah, absolutely. So Google has this program called Be Internet Awesome. It's actually a whole education program based around teaching kids to be good digital citizens. So I think education is a really important part of that. Secondly, for parents, we have something called Family Link, which actually allows them to monitor their kids' time spent online, set time limits, and things like that. And then lastly, check out the teacher approved apps in the Play Store. Google partnered with expert teachers to design content on the Play Store that's actually going to be best for kids.
Would you characterize the situation as static, improving, getting worse when it comes to security online?
Yeah, so I think, while these attacks are getting more frequent, people are probably seeing things in the news. That's always a good reminder to take those personal steps. So while the attacks are, we're seeing them on the rise, we also have the best tools, the better tools than we've ever had before. So with Google's engineers kind of studying those new attacks, that's why we really want folks to have get in that Google account manager, use that privacy and security checkup so they can get the personalized tips for them so that they can stay safe online.
Great advice. For more info, where should folks go, Grace?
You can go to safety.google.com.
Safety.google.com. Grace Hoyt, thank you for taking the time with us.
Thanks so much for having me.